I got my special guest, KolbyK. Before I introduce Kolby, I'm gonna kind of read off some things so you guys get to know who this man really is and what he's all about. He's an executive. He's a best-selling author. He's a social media and marketing authority. He's the first shark on the show Shark Tank, which I definitely want to know more about.
I've helped.
You've helped.
I've worked with. Yeah, I'm not the first shark.
You've worked. All right, we definitely want to talk about that. He's been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine. Spent 15 years in corporate America in sales and marketing. He's a loving father of 4 kids. Kolby, man, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
What's up, dude? What is up?
What's up? So, hey, talk to us about this whole Shark Tank thing. Like, you helped with the first episode of Shark Tank. What was that all about? So
let me just rewind it. So one of the things, 2 relationships I honor and have a lot of respect for are so that we'll talk through them, but it's when you provide enough value into the marketplace consistently. And, you know, one of the things, and you've known me long enough, is I'm not a theory guy. I don't read a book and say, here's what I think it is. I'm a practitioner. And when people see that you're doing things and you're building things and ask you for your opinion, you're obligated to help and serve. So I've been just really fortunate enough to help do some work with Kevin Harrington's team and his son, Brian, and this guy, Mark Tim, is just an amazing guy on social strategies and content creation and some of the stuff I do around what I call digital distribution. And then another gentleman who's a really big relationship, you'll see him in my bio, he's the co-contributor to Chicken Soup for the Soul. He did a lot of the stories in those series. His name's Dan Clark, 2-time Hall of Fame world famous speaker. And I think he's 36 New York Times bestselling books. And the same thing there. It's just, you know, when you've got really good relationships, it's based on being able to provide value. So I wasn't part of the first Shark Tank, but having an opportunity to work with Kevin being, you know, the first original shark has been an honor. You learn a lot through working with people that you respect. If you keep your ears open and your mouth closed and add value, you'll soak a lot of stuff up. And his team, they're brilliant about how they go to market.
What are some things you took away from them and spending all that time with Kevin? Actually, I've met Kevin at a traffic and conversion summit last couple of years ago. And so what were some of your takeaways from spending that time with him?
Dude, we're speaking together in August 8th at my buddy Eric Swanson's event here. So it's one of the force multiplier really comes to mind when I think about how Kevin operates. He's got over 20 companies that have done 200 million plus. And his way of scaling is by partnering with people who have skill sets and have audiences and putting 4 or 5 pieces together. And instead of the Grant Cardone 10X, he's honestly about 100X. Yeah. Every time we talk about how we're going to launch something new or he's working on something, it's about 100X. It's not about 1X, 10X, 5X. It's how do I get it 100 times bigger than me just doing a course? How about I do a course with somebody who has like a Gary Vaynerchuk? Why don't I do something that's with people that have got big audiences and each of us have our own skill sets and then together we can complement an offering. So for him, it's been for what I've learned most from Kevin's team is about scaling. How do you take an idea and think bigger? Don't think here. Don't think myopic. You want to think bigger scale.
How's that impacted you and your business and kind of in what you're doing and in your resume? I mean, it speaks for itself. So many amazing things. Where did all that start for you?
It came when we talk about our oh shit moment whenever we talk about the oh shit moment.
Let's talk about it right now.
To answer the question, I have to kind of tell the story of where it came from. Is Harvard Business Review did a study on the brain, and they talked about how old are we when we're kind of set in our decision making processes. Sorry, I got some allergies here. I'm about to sneeze. The science behind how your brain operates, they say at about age 26, you are physically, mentally, and spiritually wired as to how you're going to make decisions moving forward. So how you see the world at about 26 based on life experience is how you see things until you're dead. Unless one of 3 things happens to you. Health. How many people do you know? I know your personal story. When things came out about your daughter, how did that change the world for you? It changes everything.
Yeah.
Or if cancer is a really good example too. So my mom got diagnosed with cancer. It's cancer, somebody in your friends or family or even yourself, when you get diagnosed with cancer, what does that do? It destroys families and neighborhoods and communities. Okay, so health. Second one would be money. How many people do you know, like in our circle, that maybe lost a job, got laid off, and struggled to get back and lost everything because they just financially weren't smart with their money? And most of us live a couple months away from being broke. Or the third one, relationships. Anybody that's gone through a divorce or a major heartbreak or a loss of a loved one, like, you know how that damaging that is.
Mm-hmm.
Now take all three of those things. All three of those things happened to me at the same time twice in 2 years. I got diagnosed with Lyme disease, went through a major separation, lost a $10 million company, sold our house, and like started over. All of those things are public. That's how I started to build my brand on social media. Well, as I was rebuilding, if you fast forward that narrative, it was, I got to focus on health. I got to focus on relationships. Then I got to focus on money. When I started focusing on money, it didn't become about the financial aspects. What it came down to was time I spent with Tom Bilyeu at last year's Meltdown, where he had a phrase that was about information in equal ideas out, and where that sat with, I'm as good as I'm ever going to be right now, unless I pick up a book, or unless I listen to a podcast or an interview like this, or unless I go to the gym. And I started making a list of things I wanted to do and skills I didn't have. From learning how to play the guitar to writing a New York Times bestseller, what do you do? So I made a list of things I wanted to do and the skills I needed to acquire, and then I found out where those people were. And I aligned myself with guys and girls that are New York Times bestselling authors that have done it repeatedly, and lended my service to them because they need help on things I do. And I did it unequivocally for the passion of helping, and then becoming a student. Like, I'm always a student, dude. There's always something I can learn from somebody in every engagement. And I came to it as a humility aspect. So where the 100x for me has been in building my relationships and my network. My network, to me, my personal relationships are gold. I hold my relationships over currency.
I love it, man. I love it. And I equals IO. It's
Yes.
actually tattooed on your wrist. From what why did it have such an impact on you? Like, so much that you actually got it tattooed on your wrist?
Dude, I'm just a freak that way, but it's the way the statement went. It just hit me. It was, I believe that. I believe that unless you continue to grow as a person, you're going to stay in the same place. And you don't stay. You're either going backwards or forwards. There's no finality to movement. You're moving or you're not. You're always moving. Excuse me. You're either moving forward or backwards. Like, by being stagnant, you're not moving. And for me, it's a reminder. Like, what am I doing today to help better myself, right? I spend 2 hours every day reading or consuming something to educate myself. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm watching educational videos. I'm watching TED Talks. I'm writing. I write a ton, and I read. I mean, every single day, whether it's reading articles online or like literally, I'd show you my office, dude. It's a shithole right now, but I've got probably 500 books in my office or more, and like just stacks and stacks of books to where I'm consuming and learning, and it's a reminder to keep growing.
Are there any books you're reading right now or have read that have definitely had a major impact on you? Like, is there one or two?
Why would you ask that question? There's so many.
I don't know. There's not one.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Let me just see what's here in front of me. So, yeah, hold on. There are a couple that are really, really super good that are right here. Oh, geez, where's Sharon Lecter's book? There's 3 that really come to mind. 4 that are like right here. 5. Like, these are all good. Like, I could give you a list of recommendations. The Art of Significant Public Speaking and Storytelling. This is from Dan Clark. It's a series of how to tell your story in a way that's relatable, and how to do 7 kinds of different speeches, from big speeches to little speeches, and how to prepare yourself to be a better public speaker. I did the video course for this series with Dan, and we filmed probably 16 hours of content. Wow. But like, this book is amazing on how to speak. The Motivation Manifesto from Brendon Burchard.
It's a good one.
This is so good on, he uses a phrase that's in my calendar every single day that says that I live, that I love, that I matter. And I got those principles from this book. So making sure that every day when I show up, I'm living. And then, of course, the audio version of this is better than the book version. I'm always on the fence about Gary. Like, I consume him for like 6-7 months, and I got to turn him off because it's just too much. But this audiobook is a must. And then this is a book that changed my life forever. This is Debbie Ford's Dark Side of the Light Chasers, that talks about the balance of humanity and who we are. The basis of my new book, and one of those major oh shit moments came at my buddy Sean Whalen's house, and this book was on his bookshelf, and I just happened to grab it. And in the first, like, if I open it up to the first like paragraph, if I read that to you, you'd be like, holy shit. Like that first paragraph, I'm like, this book was written for me. And it's about, I can't be selfless unless I understand selfish. I can't be giving unless I'm taking. And I can't be kind without understanding I'm also an asshole. And it's the polarity of understanding. We try to suppress the negative things that we've been told. And what that does is it doesn't allow us to fully embrace the good things that we're chasing because we're not fully embracing who it is we are. So this book really allowed me to do one thing, which is forgive myself for mistakes I've made and understand that those mistakes and those decisions are actually who I am. And I'm cool with who I am. Like, I'm happy with who I am as a person. And that book was a huge turning point for me.
I know you mentioned, so in a previous interview, I heard you mention you can't have the dark without the light.
That's from that book.
That's from that book. Okay. What is that? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what does that mean? Like, what's the dark and the light?
You can't appreciate sunlight without understanding what a sunset is.
Okay.
You can't really understand true happiness until you've been to the darkest depths of hell. Right? I just choose not to there's strength in the darkness, and we tend to hide from it because it looks like depression. It looks like suicidal thoughts. It looks like selfishness and premonitions that you don't want to address. And when I started to embrace that as, okay, this is like a bus stop. I'm going to get off. It's like a tourist destination. I'm going to look around and let me embrace this moment that I'm in. As long as it's not a destination and it's a pass-through space, there's a lot of power there. Because then on the other side of that is, like, I'm going through some heavy shit right now. I'm in an empty house where my family's not. And I'm looking around. There's all these reminders and stuff that really emotionally kind of set me. And it's like, okay, I could be really angry and self-destruct and go just drink and like lose my shit. Or I could say, you know what? There's some really heavy things happening here. Let me embrace that. Because then as I start to feel happy, I really understand and can appreciate how much better that happiness is as I start to come through it. The goal is to embrace both sides and not spend too much time on either.
What do you think keeps people on the bus? So they're in that moment and they just never, it becomes a destination and they never step off and see it for what it is. What do you think keeps people on that bus?
The lack of being able to self-forgive. Because we blame ourselves for the unhappiness, right? We blame everybody else, then we blame ourselves, and then we decide to dwell. And when you look at that and say, these are things that are happening, everything around me is happening because of me. This whole thing's been scripted, and everything's around me. They're characters in my movie. And if I control the narrative based on how I want to feel, it takes a different approach. And it's, dude, I'm 42, man. It's taken a long, I live on the fringe. My life has been continually this tornado of shitstorms that I've been able to overcome, and I get comfortable in that. So some part of me is, because I'm in it all the time, it's like in myself, do I do it on purpose now? Mm-hmm. It's like if you psychoanalyze like why I'm in the places I'm in, you would ask, like, do I get to a good point and then I sabotage myself just because I'm comfortable in the fringe? So the biggest part, dude, is self-forgiveness, brother. It's like you got to understand that it's okay. Like the decisions that you make are decisions that you've made, and I don't owe anybody anything. Like my goal is to be better. Like I want to be better 5 minutes from now than I was 5 minutes ago. And if I live in that mind frame and not look at the things that have happened as things that are going to weight me, you look at things a little bit different. And that takes just a lot of practice, dude. It's like going to the gym. You got to do it every day.
How do you get through those moments? So when you are in that dark, how do you get yourself out of that and move into the light?
I surround myself with people that will help provide positive affirmations on things I know that are good. I do a lot more good than I do bad. And for me, I try to surround myself with people that I know are going to give affirmations, not that are going to kiss my ass, but they're going to reaffirm good things. And I'll tell them, like, listen, I'm in a spot, I need some help. That's one. And then the other thing that a friend of mine we were talking last night, she said, gratitude will be your biggest anchor through sorrow. And I was like, God, that's some heavy shit to say. And I'm like, you know what? I think about it, and it's, what does that mean? Well, Tony Robbins has a really great set of analogies on how he decides to deal with pain. And it's, I embrace it, I take it, and then immediately I'm gracious. And if I turn into grateful, I can't be grateful and angry or depressed at the same time. Like those emotions, just the way we're wired, it won't allow you to do both at the same space. So I'll pick up the phone or I'll shoot a text. I do gratitude messages every day, twice a day. I do them in the morning and the evening. So what I'll do is literally just pick up the phone, call somebody. I got to call you and say, hey, dude, want to know that I honor what you're doing. I'm so excited to be on the show. You're making a big impact. Dude, I see your daughter's kicking ass. Congratulations on the Europe trip. And by doing that and telling you how I feel about you and how great you are, now selfishly, I'm like, I feel better. right? So going through gratitude, it's really hard to be gracious and upset at the same time.
Are there moments that you can look at in the past? Like, let's talk oh shit moments. Like, we talked before we got live is there a moment or two where for you that was your oh shit moment that like, I better figure this thing out, or things are not going to be great if I don't figure this out like right now?
Yeah, dude, there's a couple things. One of my all-time favorite questions I've ever been asked. I spoke at a conference in St. George called the Outliers Podcast Festival. And we got through the end of it, and this older gentleman got up and he goes, "Do you ever get tired of starting over?" And I said, "Dude, I do. Like, I do. I hate it. I'm good at it, but it's like not my favorite. It's hard to start over every time." The flip side of that is I've always knew that just the way that I feel every day that I wake up and the way that I serve, I know that I'm living out a purpose for something way bigger than myself. And I just know it. I can't explain it. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you there's one thing that happened to me. I just know I'm wired for bigger than the things that it is I'm doing, and I enjoy where I'm at. I just know there's a larger thing that I have got to work hard to get to. So every time I get through these major adversities, I just don't keep going. I just keep going, just keep going. There's something bigger. So that's one. But I am human, and I got to say, November of last year was probably the most critical oh shit moment of my life that really changed the trajectory for me, where I had some relationship stuff. It's always funny how relationships can be kind of catalysts. This was the second time I had health, money, and relationships hit me in the face. And my wife and I decided to separate. In that moment, we got into probably one of the most heated discussions we've ever gotten into. And my son came down as I was like yelling and screaming. And I was the most angry I've ever been in my life. And the stuff that I said, you can't take back. And I just thought to myself, I will never let anybody control my feelings like that ever again. Like I can't allow somebody to control me like that. It got ugly. We separated, and I drove to my friend Sean's house. My friend Sean Whalen specializes in kind of helping high-performing executives and people get their shit together. And he's a good friend of mine. So I called him. I went to his house, and we were sitting through what I thought was just another major argument. I knew the argument was different because of how things ended. I knew that it was not just an average, like, hey, you should have done the dishes and oh, fuck you. It was like there was something way heavier about what had happened. And when I was at Sean's house, Sean's been asking me a question for the last 3 years. What do you want? That's the hardest question you'll ever have to answer. Like, what do you want? I don't mean like, what do you want? Like, I want money. I want happiness. No, I mean, what do you want? And then what do you want more? And then you go down to that question about 7 or 8 times, and it's like you really have to get to the core to who you'll be crying when you get through that exercise. And what I said was, I don't want to be angry. I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. I don't want to be angry. Well, what am I angry at? I'm angry that I had Lyme disease for a year and I went undiagnosed and I let myself get sick. So I'm tired of like every day, like it hurts to get out of bed. Every joint in my body hurts. I'm sleeping 2 hours a day, every other day. I'm almost hallucinating like the machinist because I'm not sleeping and eating. Okay, so I don't want to be sick. Second one is I want a better relationship. So I want to have a better relationship with my family, with my kids. And then the third one was my money. Like I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. I built 2 6-figure businesses and I can't get out of my own way because of my last company crash. It's like, what am I doing? Well, all 3 of those things I control. I'm in the center of everything that's negative that's happening around me and to me and because of me. So how do I fix that? So that was a very pivotal moment that made me reset and think, okay, what is most important to me? Me, health first. If I'm not healthy, the rest of the kingdom falls. So how do I focus on me getting mentally, physically, spiritually healthy? Doing that every day, getting my diet in check, going to the gym. And it's just like I set an alarm on my phone that used to say, get up, fat boy, it's time to do work. And it's my voice when the alarm goes off. And it's like, you hear that, get up, 5 o'clock, go. You go once, go twice. You know how it is, dude. You go, just keep going, do the reps. And then it was the diet. Diet starts to change, got to eat good. Then it was my relationships. If I want my relationships to be better, what's important? What's not working, address it, create a solution, make sure that we're on task, and then do the reps every day. Show up for my kids, coaching soccer, taking my son to skateboarding lessons, spending time with the baby, helping at the house, doing laundry, and like just helping relieve that because the relationships are important. And then the last one was money. And instead of focusing on money, because money will always come, I focused on skill sets that I could acquire and realigning myself into the places that were most important. So when all of those things kind of happened at that pivotal moment on the stairwell when my son was looking up and I was in this heated debate with his mom.
Wow.
That was the most recent oh shit moment that like shook me.
You mentioned for you, like, how do you How do you bounce back from that? Like, because I mean, it happened. You can't take that moment back. So where do you go? Where do you go next?
You just keep going.
Yep.
I'm wired for something else. Like, I just know that I've got there's a reason I'm here on this planet, and it's to help. In the new book that I just finished, it'll be out. You'll get a copy when I see you next week. I got one goal, dude. There's one person on this planet that's going to help 10,000 or 100,000 people. I don't know who that person is. What happens is we hide from all of the things that are bad when those are actually our superpowers. So when these things happen to me, I am human, dude. Like, I lost my shit during that time frame. Like, I don't think I've ever cried as much as I did. It was heavy for me. It was a heavy rewiring moment. But at the same sense, I know that that's where the power is. The power comes from getting through it, and I'll get through it. We'll always get through it. Like the people that are listening right now or watching, the oh shit moment is, it happens in one of two places. It happens when you're laying on the floor, looking up at the ceiling going, holy shit, I don't know how I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Right? Not necessarily suicidal, but maybe those premonitions could be, are there and present. Or you're in your driveway. You pull up to your house after a long day. Everybody's inside and you're sitting in your car going like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through tomorrow. And it's usually tied to health, wealth, or relationships. Everybody's done it. And if I ask you like what your moment was, you know what it is. You don't have to tell me. You can say 5 years ago, it was this thing. I was laying on the floor. Were you in your floor? Were you on the floor or were you in your car?
I was in my car.
Okay. So everybody, I've done this to thousands of people and it's either one of those two things. So everybody has that moment. Here's the thing, dude, you're here. Unless it happened yesterday. If it happened 10 minutes ago, you're here. So guess what? There's somebody listening right now who's about to step into that area that you were in that thought, I'm never going to make it out, who thinks that they're the only one. We think that we're the only people that have ever made mistakes or that we're going through what we're going through because we think everybody else has shit figured out when it couldn't be farther from the case. We're way more alike than we are different based on our experiences. So for me, the goal is this. My goal is the new book that I just wrote called You Should See the Other Guy is about every time I thought I was going to die and I made it through it. And what were the lessons I learned from that? And the goal is to get that book in front of one person, whether I sell one or give one away. And it's only one once it prints. I got to get to the one person that's going to change 10,000 or 100,000 people. And I got to find them. And it's like, I do interviews like this, and it's like, I'm doing the radio shows, I'm on television, I'm doing a tour, like we got the event. My goal is to find that one person. And there's one person I wrote that book for. And that's why I took 42 years of my life. We did it in 3 weeks. Literally, I wrote 40,000 words in 3 weeks. I did for the last week and a half, dude, I've done nothing but write 8 hours a day. Brought the editing team on, did the design work. And in 3 weeks, dude, I wrote a 200-page book. And I just feel so strong that I got to get this out by next week by the event. Like, I have to get it in that one person's hand to let them know that the things that they've gone through and the things that they're experiencing are actually what makes them special and sets them apart from everybody, but also aligns them with what their purpose is to help them go do great things.
And you mentioned like loneliness and feeling alone. And I feel like that's a typical entrepreneur feeling. Like, we feel alone. We feel like we're on an island by ourselves. Like, why do you think that is? Like, why do we feel like that?
Because most people don't think the way that we do. And, or most people do, they've just been dictated by fear and they haven't moved on it.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean they don't think the way we do?
I mean, everybody has an idea that they'd like to go create something and change the world. Very, very few people are like, I just want to work 9 to 5. Right? Everybody has dreams. Everybody has aspirations. And right around 9 years old is about the age that the creativity process stops. Like, when was the last time you drew something? Like, drew or painted?
Shoot, I can't remember.
Think about it. Right? It's usually around 8 or 9. So somewhere through the process, we're told systematically through school and through work and through our parents, unless they were creators, that that's silly. Like, get to work, learn a skill set, play sports. And those are all good things, right? But we get that creativity gets stifled, and then that carries into adulthood, where we don't think that we're either worthy or we don't think it's probable that we'll ever be able to execute. And if you don't surround yourself by people that are creators, that are building, you're surrounded by 99% of the people in your world that are still stuck into where they are. And again, dude, we control the narrative as to what happens to us if we get out of our own way. Right? So what we think is because we struggle to find the communities of people that are more like us. And we could do a whole episode on how you find your niche and how do you find your tribe. Once you do, dude, once you find the group of people that are the right way and you start showing up every day honestly and you're living the truth and you're like living the shit, you do the shit you want to do, is all the people that are closest to you start to dissipate, and then all the people that are attracted to what it is you're doing start to fill the empty holes. Like you, dude, let me ask you this. So how many times have you had, as a trainer, you've had a wife or a husband come and join a program and they didn't bring their significant other, they did it by themselves? And if they stick with it, what happens if they don't embrace it or they don't involve their spouse?
Oh, I mean, you start getting arguments and fights and jealousy and, oh yeah.
They split. Yep. Why? Because we're not on the same trajectory because I didn't bring you with me. It's funny. It's a conversation for another day about building businesses and fitness. Is if you want people that you love around you, you need to involve them. Either if they don't do it with you, you need to at least keep them in the loop so they stay in your core, because otherwise you leave them in the dust because you're not on the same wavelength. It's being able to find the people that are in doing the same stuff that you are. It's critical. And they're out there, millions. There's so many people out there that are doing whatever it is you want to do. There's groups of people that are doing it. You just got to find them.
And you mentioned your tribe, and you mentioned bringing people together, and you mentioned the event, and I want to talk about that because I'm super excited to be heading there. Talk to us about the event, man. Like, it's just like you have a way of talking about it that just like it gets me excited. I'm like, God damn, I want to hurry up and be next week. Meltdown in the Desert, man. Like, what is it? How did you come up with the idea? Talk to us about the event.
So I spent 10 years in the music industry. Doing booking shows for some pretty large hip hop acts, from small venues of 100 people to 20, 30,000 people venue. Went into corporate America, and we started doing trade shows, and then I started speaking on global stages. So being on stage, is whether an entertainer or from an operations perspective, is where I've spent a big portion of my career. And 3 years ago, I was in London. My buddy Dan Meredith held an event with Gary Vaynerchuk in a boxing ring. In York.
Yeah.
It's such a good event in a place called York Hall. And it was a marketing sales thing. And Dan and this guy, Frank, put it together, and Dan did the same thing I did. I kind of followed his roadmap on accident. He wrote his book in like literally 3 weeks and released his book in this event. Amazing book. And what it was a night of listening to marketers and Gary Vee talk about what they do. And I thought, I'm really starting to get my stride. I think I had 100 followers on social media, man. I was like, man, I'm into this social media. I'm blowing up. And I looked around at my friends and I thought, what if we did a social media conference that was focused on people that use social media to build businesses, like 7-figure businesses? And I got a lady who was selling $1 million homes on Snapchat. Got a dude who was leveraging video when in the fitness industry, going from brick and mortar to his own coaching and using video, but doing more with video than just training. And then my buddy Sean Whalen, who I've mentioned a couple times, and Sean and what he's done around video, the dude's had over 100 million impressions in a year. Guy's a nut. And then me, where I was starting to come up around how to build businesses and just being 100% transparent on everything I do around finding a group of people, creating a solution, validating a solution, and selling it. Everything I've done, there's no hold bars. I share everything. And we did an event. I came up with the idea in the hotel. I locked in the speakers. I called a buddy of mine. I called him the mayor of Scottsdale, Eric Schellenberger. I called him and said, can we get the W? Yep. I went to do Eventbrite. I'm a designer, so I went to do a little flyer, popped it up. Within literally 24 hours of us coming up with the idea, we sold 100 tickets and we were live. It was 3 weeks out. It was 3 weeks after that event, or 6 weeks. 6 weeks after Dan's event. And then it just grew, because the first event was like, yeah, it's good. I wasn't going to do another one because you know this, dude. You're like dude, you are so hungover after you do one event. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm responsible for 300 people. Like, I just don't want to do it. Then last year, I was in the shower. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And then I just had this feeling in my stomach, like the next year needs to be the event the first year should have been. It should be bigger. It should be different. It should be, there should be more to it. And I've been very, very honored to have some really cool friends, dude, so that are doing just great stuff. So I literally just said, who's doing what? I went down my Rolodex and just started calling my friends, man, and emailing them. It's like everybody's in a different industry that's doing something through social media. So we had Tom Bailey last year. We did a bunch of workshops on how to take ideas and create businesses on the fly, how to leverage marketing tools, how to do Facebook ads. It's not a sales event. We don't sell anything. So it allows you to literally spend 3 days with the absolute largest social media influencers on the planet and just kick it. It's everybody around you I liken it like this. Take your friends list on Facebook and put them in a room together. Dude, you and I don't have to have a rapport. Like, you and I don't have to go through the bullshit. Like, as soon as I see you, I'm like, what's up, dude? Oh, it's good to see you. Like, we automatically know each other. So all of the weird conference things that you get on handshakes and hand jobs and ass pats and who are you, none of that exists. You go right into relationship building mode, and you go with no expectations and an open heart, and you come out of there, dude. I got to tell you, last year we had close to 300 people, and I know of 15 seven-figure businesses that were built at that event a year later. They're going to be there. They're going to be there this year on stage. So the way that I liken it is, if you're a Gary Vaynerchuk fan and if you're a Tony Robbins fan, put those guys in a blender and then pour out a big glass or whatever the hell that is that comes out afterwards. And then I'm going to serve it to you, and then I'm going to shut a door. I'm going to shut the doors behind you. And there's not a dry eye in the place. From the minute I hit the stage with my kids, I lose it almost immediately. From the minute I start the event to the last day at the pool party, it's tears of joy. It's tears of overcoming adversity. It's tears of excitement. It's tears of sadness. It's tears of camaraderie. And we dive into the heavy shit that nobody wants to talk about, and then give you all the tools to go create something super, super special.
God, man, I get goosebumps when you talk about it, bro.
I do conferences and write books and music and stuff. The stuff that I do are things I want to go to, and I've been just very, very blessed that the market has reciprocated. We'll be in a stadium in the next 3 years, dude. It's just such a fun event.
I love it. Who's speaking this year?
Dude, great question. So we have a huge lineup this year of some really, really, really good people. And I wanted to go through this as I moved some stuff around. So Dan Clark is coming out. So Dan Clark is New York Times Hall of Fame speaker. He's a university professor. He's a professional athlete, 36 New York Times bestselling books, business partner of mine. Just a great dude. Sharon Lechter, who is the CEO and co-founder of Rich Dad Poor Dad, who took on the Think and Grow Rich legacy. She talks all about the wealth mindset and the play big movement, on how to play bigger than what you're playing today and how to create assets that drive revenue. Between those two alone, they've sold over 400 million books. Oof. Like, there are probably some people you want to listen to. My man, Ryan Stewman. So Ryan Stewman was a convicted felon, was told he was never going to be anything, and puts out more content than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. From real estate to car sales to sales techniques. He's written 7 or 8 best-selling books. The dude is a monster when it comes to leveraging tools and telling stories. Oh, there you go. That's what I was going to set up on some books. I'm speaking. Keith Yackey is speaking. Keith is the co-founder of an event called Amplify Live. He's also an author, a speaker, a coach. He's an amazing dude. Jesse Elder, if you've seen him, Jesse Elder, I don't know what universe Jesse's from. He's not from this planet. He is one of the most in-tune human beings I've ever seen. Huge beard, bald, tan, and white eyes almost. And he's just a really, really special dude. Neva Lee Rekla. Neva is 8 years old. And this is probably one of my favorite – she's one of my favorite humans on the planet, but this is one of my favorite stories, and this tells you how powerful the event is. It's lunchtime last year. And you know, when you're in event mode, it's hard to see everybody. You barely eat because you're shaking hands and moving and making sure the event's going. And I'm going back into this venue, and I get a tap on the shoulder. And the lady grabs me, and she says, "Hey, my daughter wanted to thank you for giving us tickets to come. She'd won a contest on Instagram." I turn around, and here's this beautiful young girl that's my daughter's age. So I get down on my knees, and I give her a big hug, and I'm like, I gave her some she had some Tokidoki stuff, and we're talking, and she goes, "Can I pitch you?" I said, "What?" "Yeah, can I pitch you? I have a new book. I'd like to pitch you." I said, "Absolutely, you can pitch me." And she pitched me. And I was blown away that this 8-year-old girl knew her model so well to raise money for her new book and her new online course for kids. I go back on stage and bring her on stage and tell the story that I just told you. And she does the same thing in front of 300 people. She says, "Can I pitch you?" We raised $2,000 for her project. Wow. The next day, Entrepreneur Magazine, we do a live video feed of 30, 40,000 people. What does she do? She says, "Can I pitch you?" And we raise more money through the Entrepreneur Magazine network. Fast forward that story from June to November, her and I are keynoting in front of 2,000 people at a DECA conference here in Phoenix. And she's one of the most special, unique human beings you'll ever meet in your life. And I thought she needs to be keynoting at this year's event. So Neva will be there. Her parents are just two of my favorite people. They enable her to go be who she is. And it's really, it's a special story about parents enabling their kids to step into their greatness. My man, Tyler Harris, dude. Tyler Harris, everything bread pun follow. I mean, the guy's sold 7,000 life insurance policies. He's a content creator that's just a monster. Think about Gary Vee, but like Gary Vee that goes to the gym way more. Like he's huge with a huge beard. His content gets hundreds of millions of views. Like he's just a stud. Scott Duffy. So Scott Duffy works at Entrepreneur Magazine. He's a public figure. He sold the company to Richard Branson. Just a super good dude. He was there last year with us. He'll be speaking. My partner, Stephen Fielding, who is chairman of TU Elite. He's also one of my co-producers of the event. Dom Fawcett. One of the only returning people from last year is Dom. Dom he was in the military. He was a police officer and gave up on life and then went into corporate America and now coaches high-performance executives. And he's one of the most intense human beings I've ever met. I love this dude. Him and I have spoken together on a couple stages. Dom will be there. Cody Jefferson. Cody Jefferson last year at the event when the power went out, called the hotel and was at the hotel setting up chairs without me asking. Content creator. He was a youth pastor, has an amazing, amazing story. And I said, you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be on stage. And he's bypassed anything I could ever told him to do, crushing it in his space. So Cody will be there. My buddy Ketan Makwana, who is a renowned international TEDx speaker, serial entrepreneur, mentor. He speaks 300 days a year around the country. He runs he calls it Disruptors, a Disruptors League. I've got special guests of people that have done 7-figure businesses from last year that I'll bring on stage, and we'll talk about what they've done. I'm doing a legacy showcase with some really interesting, amazing human beings. My buddy Nate Wessel's coming in. He is the guy who builds all the ramps for X Games. He's the Red Bull ramp builder. He does a thing called Bikes Over Baghdad, where they do a big professional BMX bike expo overseas to our soldiers. This dude, Hank Robinson, who is the founder of Hand Row Studios. He's a decorated veteran who his platoon died in service, and he engraved a truck with all the guys on it. Just a super good dude. Danny Dreyer from Dixon will be there to talk about how he's built a 7-figure business on Instagram. And then we get the tactics. So Sean Whalen has a best-selling book. It's in this pile. I can pull it out. He sold, I think, 40, 50,000 books in 4 months. He's going to do a 2-hour workshop on how to really step into the struggle of work, life, and relationships and how to leverage that to your advantage, and a process he's put together that just works. This gentleman by the name of Mike Arizi Resells. If you know, Arizi is the guy who helped Gary Vaynerchuk with the Flip Challenge, or he was one of the guys that was kind of pivotal in that movement. The guy's done $5 million building businesses around selling on Amazon and eBay by going to thrift stores and secondhand stores and stores like Marshall's and Ross and TJ Maxx. The guy's a monster and he's a content creator, and he's going to show you how to really set up Amazon and eBay businesses. I'm going to be there doing what I call digital distribution. I've created over 14,260 pieces of content across 5 major platforms in 14 years, 10,000 in 2 years. So I'm going to show you what I do, how I can take one video and create 6 pieces of native content for social. And then my buddy Tony Grubmeyer runs a company called Ship Offers, and he's going to show you how to start a supplement company from the beginning to the end and then leverage his company to facilitate.
Damn, dude.
Pool party, which is notorious. We're going to get grimy. It's tons of fun. We got a VIP event tied to it for dinner. Dude, it's just a ton of really, really good stuff.
Man, so
it's an hour just to explain what the hell the event is, right?
Seriously, we just got to do a show just for the event.
Just for the lineup. It's like,
are there tickets still available? Can people still get tickets? Where do they go to get tickets?
Dude, I'll tell you what. You can go to I'll do it. We're going to do it just for the end of this week. If you go to meltdownevent.com, if you put that in the links, meltdownevent.com, tickets are between $97 to $400 depending. We're going to give out, I've got 10 free tickets for your audience right now for those who want to come and join us. It's the largest social media networking event in the US, like bar none. It's the best event you'll go to, I promise. If you go put guest, if you go meltdownevent.com, click on claim your seats, it'll take you over to Eventbrite. When you go to Eventbrite, you hit tickets, and the top right-hand side, it'll say enter your promotional code. Put in the word guest for you and a guest to join us for this year's event, and just use those till they're gone. I got 10 specifically for this group to join us, man. I mean, for me, it's not about making money. It's about getting everybody together to have a really good time and to get some value.
I love it, man. Thank you for doing this.
If you're not investing on yourself, if you're not investing in a gym membership or a library card or books, you're fucked. Don't complain about where you are in life if you are not investing in yourself. I've invested $30,000 this year alone in coaching and in masterminds and in reading and in partnerships. Last year I did 20. I'll do 50 next year and 100 the year after. And I'm continually investing in myself because guess what? If you want to be a New York Times bestselling author, don't you think you should be around people that are doing it? You want to make 7 figures building a business on Instagram? Don't you want to be where those people are? Like, put yourself in a position where the people are doing the shit that you want to do. And like, I don't want cost to be the reason you don't go, even though you should pay to be there. So like, I got bills. I got bills too, man. Like, come on, man, buy a shirt, do something. But like, you gotta be. It's one of those things where I never want cost to be the reason you can't make it, because I know, like you've seen the highlight reels. Like, this is a life-changing event.
It is. So if you're listening, anyone watching, listening, 10 free tickets. Thank you, Kolby, for doing that. That means a lot. Man. If you're watching, share this, get this message out. This is a great dude that we got on here today, and he's doing some amazing work. My next question for you is legacy. The theme of the event is legacy. It's on the t-shirts, amazing t-shirts, by the way. Why legacy? Why'd you go with that theme?
My buddy Steve and I have been talking about legacy for 2 years, like that term. And when you think about legacy, there are 2 kinds. There are what happens when you die, and then what happens when you're alive. So when people bring up your name, are they smiling, or are they cringing and leaving the room? And for me, as I told you, like you know me well enough. When I say, like, I wrote this book for one person, I got to find them, and I'll give out 1 million copies till I get to that person, and they tell me that they're the one. That's why I'm here, dude. I'm here to help, and I'm here to serve, and I'm here to build something amazing. And that is done through your living legacy. For my kids, I started building content and doing the stuff that I did so my kids could go back and find me when I'm gone. I don't do that in replace of spending time with my kids. I'm not doing a bunch of videos just to do videos. But my parents aren't around, dude. I have outside of some pictures and some journals, like, I don't have any way to see them. So for me, my living and ongoing legacy will be on the impact that I'm able to make by doing shows like this. And I don't know where that word came from. That was the word, right? It's like, why are we doing this? It's purpose first. So if you look behind me, it's hard to see, but meaning plus impact equals purpose. So if you're living your life with a meaning and you're trying to do so to make an impact, that's purpose. So I try to show up every day living with purpose, and that purpose, when I kind of tie it all together, leads into the word legacy.
I love it. Last 2 questions. So if Kolby of today can go back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, what advice would you give younger Kolby?
Be kind, concentrate on forgiveness, and be good to yourself.
Forgiveness for yourself or forgiveness of others?
For myself.
Yourself?
Yeah, dude, I've like just being able to, if I could go back, be kind. Be kind. That would be the biggest one. Be kind. Because I run 100 miles an hour, and like I've said shit to people that I wish I could take back. Right, that I said out of anger. And like, words are, what are the 3 things you can't take back? Your breath, your word, and something else. It's like, I've in anger, I've said things I wish I could change. Right. Mm-hmm. Then again, it's like, all those things happen for the reason they're supposed to happen. So I don't dwell on it, but I would say forgiveness. I would say kindness, like practice kindness, and in the opportunity of anger, embrace the anger and do not act on emotion. Like let kindness be the rule.
Do you feel like today, like what's going on today, kindness is something that's forgotten about?
I think it's overshadowed by what the news narrative is. I don't think it is. I think most people, if you and I are on a boat with a group of people and somebody falls over, you'd want to throw them a life preserver. If we were on a boat of 100 people, I guarantee 99 of them would do that. If I fell in and you had a life preserver standing next to you, would you throw it to me?
Of course.
Okay. So I think I inherently believe in the good of humanity. Right. So I do. I just think it gets overshadowed with the bullshit. I even think what President Trump's doing, there's some good stuff there. You just we'll never know. Right. Because the narrative is so in your face. It's like, there's such a negative thing about anything. It's like, I don't know. So I do. I think people are inherently good. I think it just gets overshadowed. That's why we got to keep doing content, man. I
agree. Last question. Your rise up moment. So I ask every guest I bring on the show what their rise up moment was or is. And basically it could be a moment in time where you took action on something, and because of that action, that was your rise up moment because that took you to who you are today, or at least set you on the journey. Or it could be a situation. Someone passing away that triggered something that said, oh shit, I got to get my shit together. And that was my rise up moment. For you, Kolby, what was your rise up moment?
I'm in the middle of it, dude. I'm in the middle of it with the book. I walked away from a studio gig that I was working on because I didn't align with how they treated me. I knew I deserved better. So I walked away from my main source of income out of like consulting, like high level clients, going through a nasty series of relationship things. And like just a bunch of stuff that's all happening right now to get the book and the event done. So I'm in the middle of it.
Wow.
I'm in the middle of it. But it's here's what I do know. Throughout my life, the major things that happen traditionally will happen in threes, and it's health, wealth, and it's health, relationship, and money. So when one of those things happens, I kind of look around and I prepare myself for the next one. And if it doesn't come cool, I know that it's not a huge pivotal moment. I learn and just keep going. Second one happens, I'm like, okay. I'm looking around. You got my attention. Got my attention. I hurt myself at the gym, and I'm to get sick. I'm eating like a dick, and all of a sudden lost a client. All right, what's next? I see you, and then boom, the next one happens. I'm like, all right, now I know what is it that I'm working on. Like, there's something really powerful that most people would quit. It's in that moment where you're like, okay, now I need to lean all in. And it's like I laugh. It's like I literally laughed out loud last week. I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, you're kidding me. You're trying to kill me. Like, you don't kill me. You can't kill me. So I'm in the middle of it, dude. I would say the one before that was the November moment we talked about. But right now I'm in a really pivotal transition point of really stepping into some important stuff.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what you come out with. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to next week.
Me too, man. Me too.
Where can people get a hold of you at?
Go to Facebook /I'm KolbyK. The letters IMKolbyKay. Instagram handles the same thing. I'm KolbyK, as is Twitter. You can find my LinkedIn under Kolby, KOLBY, Kolybus. I'm there. And then my website is done. It's going to be some tweaks. So you go to I'mKolbyK.com. You can get lots of stuff there. The site's being updated like here in the next 48 hours to align with the new book launch.
Nice.
And the new book.
Nice.
You should see the other guy. We're premiering that at Meltdown in the Desert. So, we're going to do the hard launch the 23rd, the day after the Meltdown. So the main day of the Meltdown, we'll do the book release. It will be live on Kindle and Amazon on the 24th.
I love it. Well, hey, man, I want to take this moment to acknowledge you. I met you. We met back at Lifetime, and I saw you working out, and I kind of knew who you were because of social media. I just had to figure out what the right approach was. I just want to say thank you. You've been a huge influence on my life. And in that short time, you've made such a big impact. And with helping me with my event, texting you when I had a question, you reaching out to me, for someone who's done what you've done and at the level that you're doing it, I just want to say thank you for being receptive to someone walking up to you and saying, hey, you're Kolby, I'm Khalid, it's great to meet you. Would you mentor me? And you've done that. And I just want to say thank you.
I honor that, dude. I really appreciate it, dude. It means a lot.
Yeah, I love it. Well, hey guys, thank you again, Kolby, for coming on. Next week, actually on Thursday, this is a double week of Rise Up Show. We got another episode on Thursday, so I'll see you all on Thursday. Otherwise, have a great day.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
Cool.